Hello and welcome to Tea in the Dojo. This is episode number 10. It's titled My Experience of the Coronavirus because at the time of this recording I was in China when the coronavirus was peaking, and I was in quarantine in China, and Chris called me up for a Skype chat, and he wanted to talk about my experiences and see the situation of how China is at the moment. We also just drink some tea and talk about our updates in fitness and karate and how we've been developing in other areas of our life as well. So sit back and enjoy the episode.
Welcome to Tea in the Dojo. My name is Karate Kid Chris, and if you're watching the video version of this podcast, you may notice that I've got a very, very special guest. He is known internationally as Sensei Jumoke. Welcome
Hello,
to the
everybody.
podcast.
Thank you for welcoming me to our podcast. It's great. Your screen's gone green. Is there a reason for that?
My screen's gone green.
Yeah, or no, my screen's gone green. You are just green at the moment.
Oh no, you're looking fine. You're looking fine on my end, but without
Okay, good.
without scaremongering, can you explain why I'm calling you remotely at the moment?
Yeah. Okay. So when was it? It was like the end of January. I went to China with my wife to visit her family for Chinese New Year. I believe the New Year's Eve was on the 24th, and so we wanted to get back for then and to have the meal and stuff. But obviously, that you guys have all heard that there's a virus that is sweeping through the country like wildfire. And so the trip hasn't gone quite as planned as we'd wanted it to, but we thought, why not just have a little catch up here anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice. It's the 8th of February today. I guess off the back of that, it feels like you're stranded in China a bit. The news has been going a bit mental. But you're looking okay.
Yeah, I definitely haven't caught the coronavirus. Although I got my head, they have those guns where they can test the temperature. They're not a gun; they look like a gun. They point it at your forehead and test the temperature.
Yeah.
We just went through a gate today with like my wife, her mom, and me. They pointed at my head, and I had the highest temperature out of all three of them. I don't have it though. I don't have it. I think it was just 1 or 2 degrees higher than normal, nothing crazy. And so that's an interesting one.
Yeah. Well, at least we got you on video saying that, just in case.
Got me on video. Yeah. Before we talk about anything in China, I'd like to know how the club and how you are doing and how the training is going.
That's an interesting question because whilst you've been away from the dojo, I've also been away from the dojo, unfortunately.
Oh man.
Yeah, I hurt myself a week last Wednesday, so today's Saturday. So was it about 10 days ago?
Oh really?
Hurt my ankle during sparring. I did a killer Mawashi Geri. Guy didn't know what happened, but then I stepped back on the same leg that I kicked with, and there was a crack and my ankle rolled. The crack wasn't, don't worry, it wasn't broken, but there was an audible crack, and I rolled on my ankle, and I was on the floor for the last 15 minutes. It swelled up pretty badly, and that's it. So 10 days later, it's still pretty sore. I haven't been to class, but basically because going to work is painful enough. So driving, braking, it's right foot.
Yeah,
so,
you're right foot. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty tough.
So, did you go to the doctor about it or anything?
No, because I've sprained my other ankle before. I know what it feels like. and
Okay.
it wasn't quite as bad. Luckily, in fact, I've sprained and fractured my other ankle before. I wasn't
Yeah.
able to walk on it for a good sort of 24 hours. I managed to drive home from the dojo. I think the adrenaline got me home.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
but yeah, it was super painful. So took a few
Uh,
painkillers and then went into work on the Friday. So I had the Thursday off work, and it was bearable. But I perhaps should have rested it a bit more than I have been doing. Um,
yeah.
so yeah,
It's
so
hard, isn't it? I
yeah,
hurt my finger the other day, and it's really hard to stop doing things because of a silly injury, isn't it?
yeah,
Well, not a silly injury. It feels like a silly injury, like an inconvenience, isn't it?
yeah,
And it's hard. It's hard.
yeah, absolutely.
So
It's
you've been off
bad.
training.
Yeah, I've been the most I've been doing is imagining myself doing my kata, and
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
I don't think that can be underrated too much. Is going through the moves in your head.
I don't think it can't be underrated. I agree with you. Yeah, I've heard, and I was reading some stuff this week that like your body can't tell if when you actually do something and when you imagine to do something. So just by imagining it, you're creating like patterns in your head,
Yeah,
and those neurons are connecting. So yeah, I think that's better than nothing, isn't it?
yeah, I think so. I think the downside is just the pain and the awkwardness.
Yeah,
So I'm not too fussed
yeah,
about not going to class, but similarly,
yeah.
I'm I don't want to go to a class when I think I'm feeling okay, and then bust my ankle
It's
again.
work.
Yeah, so
Yeah, yeah.
a bit of a tricky one, but otherwise, I'm okay. It's just my ankle.
Tuggers are okay. That's good. So I was gonna ask like how the center has been doing without me because before I left, we had the flood,
Hmm.
the great flood,
Yeah.
and then yeah, then I left. So it's been like my brother and my mom and my dad and my sister have been like handling the dojo. So how's that been going?
Yes, it's been really really good. Your we don't get much time with your brother, who's a bit younger than you, and
Yeah.
seeing him in his gi, black belt on, into back to, I don't want to say back to karate, but him being the only sensei is quite a new experience, and he's been killing it.
Uh-huh.
It's been really good. The classes have been brilliant.
Okay.
The class where
Yeah.
I did hurt myself was sort of a lot of the practical, some smaller combos that we were then
Mm.
using during sparring. So it was
Yeah.
it's been really good, and also we've gone through katas as well. So I always quite enjoy doing more of the advanced katas for the benefit of the higher grades. I quite enjoy
Yeah.
it because I'm not it's a bit like it's like our time
Keeps on
to
your toes.
yeah it's like our time to we're not supposed to be getting it right as a
Okay.
I don't need to do that kata for another 3 or 4 gradings,
Okay.
but just
You're allowed to make mistakes. There's no pressure for you to perform it well. So
yeah.
as long as you can copy and throw your limbs out, then that's good enough.
Yeah, and some of the combos as well we were doing. Actually, I remember. I think the Monday prior to the Wednesday that I got hurt, we were doing some of the purple belt combos, and those were intense. Very, yeah.
Was that with my mum on the Monday?
It was it was a mix. I think it was. Then your brother
Yeah.
took up the second half, but no, it was mainly your brother doing the combinations.
Okay.
Us going through them. So had the syllabus, went through them, and they're one of those things that on paper they don't look too hard, but then they're like a few moves in a row, but being able to string just 2 moves together is difficult, like really hard. So it was pretty good. I think the other thing as well is it was very much a luxury for us is on the Monday where the classes are pretty small.
Chris, I'm gonna quickly shut this window
Oh, go
because fireworks going off like crazy. And, they're trying to sabotage the screen.
for it. Listen, as long as you're not under attack, that's all that matters.
That's better. Better. Chinese are really good at fireworks. So
Yeah.
when they so you just saying how it was good. You're putting two moves together, and you were lucky because I think you were saying you had my mom and my brother to
Yeah,
teach you and stuff.
so we had 4 people in the class on the Monday, like not last Monday, but the Monday before, but 2 senseis. So I got
Yeah.
some one-on-one attention. It was a bit of a private lesson for the basically the last half of the kata that
Okay.
I was sort of struggling with compared to the other
Yeah.
guys, and then I
Yeah.
was like 5 minutes one-on-one is like fine. So yeah, it's been a luxury. It's definitely been a luxury. It's been good.
That's cool.
But
That's good.
obviously everyone misses you. So
I noticed that when when someone goes away, I always hear it's usually me that ends up like going for the longest. And I think it raises up my brother and maybe my sister as well and everyone else. They all kind of deal and cope without me, and they end up like you said, my brother, his class has recently been really good. Like he has to make up for the fact that I'm not there, so he just goes into Super Saiyan mode, and it really raises everyone else up, all the other sensei and all this like that.
yeah,
So it's good. Yeah, we can get quite comfortable in our roles that we naturally take, but then when you take Big Brother out the picture, then the dynamics change, don't they? So it's quite interesting.
yeah, and where there is obviously quite a bit of room for interpretation as well. The way that you're, seeing your brother perform a kata was, or even parts of it was a fairly new experience to me. So seeing the way he moves and he does things, and then
Yeah.
asking him a basic question about, oh, where should my arm be during this move is a different answer and makes you think slightly differently. It's the same sort of new flavour that we got when your mum sort of started teaching as well. Is that she's quite more traditional, and so when she explains things about the arm being sort of tucked in to protect your ribs and that sort of thing is like a new bit of information that makes me think differently, and it's the exact same thing with your brother. So yeah, it's been refreshing.
Okay, that's good. That's good. I'm glad the dojo is still standing.
Well, I
And
believe so. I haven't been there in 10 days
this,
and I feel terrible.
I also feel terrible as well, Chris, because not only haven't I trained for a while, I've been stuck inside by law. It feels pretty much, and like it's really not fun. And we come back to China for the 2 weeks, and this is like my chance to go away for the year, and I just so happened to pick the worst time ever in the history of China to come back. And literally, like the city's dead.
Right.
China's the most like I would say action-packed, lively places to be with so many things to do, and it's just dead. There's nothing on the streets. All the shops are closed. All the malls are closed. We didn't even see that much of the family. It was New Year's. It was like New Year's time, and you'd usually go have meals with this part of the family and that part of the family. But we've seen like I think we went out twice in this whole like 15, 18 days I've been away. We've been out twice to see family, and that's it.
Will there
The rest
be?
of the time,
Yeah. Will there be any? So you're due to leave China soon and come back home. Is that
tomorrow
right?
I'm really waiting for. I can't wait.
Okay.
I can't wait. And which I wouldn't usually say that because I do really like it here, but the circumstances have really kind of put a downer on it for me.
So is it a bit scary over there? Are people overreacting?
From my impression, what I get on the side that you're getting, it seems that you guys or the media again is trying to create some kind of hype over it more than it needs to be. That's my impression of the impression that you guys have.
Right.
But I haven't really been. I don't really look at the English news and stuff. Um, I can only speak for my province, and a very small percentage of people have the virus. And I think the most deadly thing is that like it can be inside you for about 10 days without showing symptoms. So you could think you're fine and go meet your friends and then give it to all your friends, and then they think they're fine, and then they give it to their friends, and that's the most dangerous thing. So actually, after I come home, I won't be able to teach for another 2 weeks or so, just in case I do have it, and I give it to everyone at the dojo. So that's an even more of a downer, because I'll be back in England and I won't really be able to be by my brother or my sister or my parents. I'll just have to be locked in my house, basically.
Yeah, plenty of time to meditate.
I'll become a spiritual enlightened master by the end of this. It's yeah. But I feel like having my own space though, and man, I'll go for a run in the morning or something when no one's about and stuff like that. But yeah, it's hard work, It's not easy.
Yeah.
Not easy.
Were there any ever concerns that you might get stuck in China and not allowed to leave?
Yeah, there was some concerns, but luckily our plane is okay. There aren't any problems. I might get like quarantined in like France or England on the way back, but we'll see.
Right,
If you don't see me, if you never see me again, that's where I am, somewhere in a quarantined tent, somewhere in the nowhere.
Like in District 9, yeah.
Yeah, District 9, exactly. Well, yeah, it's been okay. It's given me time to like do a lot of reading and research and just like checking in on myself. Still doing a bit of exercise at home, but it takes a toll on you.
Yeah,
it's hard work.
Yeah.
So I'd recommend for like anyone really not to. I mean, it's good to know that there is problems in China, but don't get sucked into the hype, because the news channels are hype masters, and I think it's very easy to become overly concerned or whatever with it and just follow this kind of narrative they're trying to give. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of scared about. I'm going to come back in England from China. Would a taxi driver want to take me home if they know I've just been come back from China?
I think you tell him just before you get out the taxi and go into your house and record his reaction.
Exactly. Like, so I've got my Chinese wife. She obviously 100% looks Chinese.
Good point.
And we've got our luggage with us, so we've been somewhere. and like, I see from my impression that there's a lot of like prejudice against Chinese people now, because of it. Maybe it's more online and stuff, but I feel like I'm carrying around this like illegal alien that no one wants to be around because they're all eating bat soup apparently.
Yeah, I think I think I would also be a bit wary of that, but less about the media and perhaps more just about not knowing enough information about it. People like to read the headlines and then not too much into it. And even if you look at the numbers, they can sound a little bit scary, but then you compare it against the population of China and it's
ridiculous. Yeah, it's ridiculous. My Chinese dad showed me a map, like an interesting map infographic or whatever you'd like to call it, a map of China, and you had Wuhan, which is in the middle, and that was like obviously had the most cases, so it was like in a darker color. Then all the provinces around Wuhan were like a slightly less dark, like a middle color, and then my province, which would be like here, which is still quite close to Wuhan, there's barely any reported cases in this province. I mean, so for some reason, no one goes to our province. We've only had a couple of cases. So like everywhere else in China, it's kind of like that dark color showing that they've had a lot of cases, but ours is still light. So yeah, I think this is probably one of the most safest places to be in China at the moment, apart from Tibet.
Yeah. No, it's still pretty intense. I'd say because there's not with any epidemic, it's a pretty scary word. So as soon as you put that, it's a label, factual label, but it's the hot topic at the moment. It's almost a shame that there's no other good or bad news going on at the moment. This is just happens to be the hot topic at the moment, even though it's not that interesting. There's nothing really to distract people away from it, and it seems to be what I wouldn't say what everyone's talking about, but even being at work around normal people who might read the news or see it. There's someone coughs or sneezes, they joke about having the coronavirus. So,
I remember one of my students' parents. She was showing me some news article when I was in England about this virus in China, and I was like, "Yeah, there's always a virus in China. Don't worry about it." And then the same thing. Then she sent me one a couple of days later. Oh, look, more people have got it. I'm like, "Oh, don't worry." And then I get here, and then he's like, "Oh, we're on lockdown." It's scary. And I heard the term, it was like the largest quarantine of humans ever in the history of people, which is crazy to think about. Wow. The whole province of like millions and millions of people is fully quarantined. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's a bit crazy. That sounds like the start of a horror film, zombie film.
It really is, isn't it? It really is. Maybe the coolest thing that they built that hospital in like 6 days, was it?
Oh, really?
Did you? Yeah. Did you ever see pictures or like news about that?
No.
My wife tells me they actually built 2 hospitals in like 8 days. Something like that. Some said 6, some said 8, and there was like a time lapse of them building it, day and night, like ants.
Like proper brick and mortar sort of.
1,000 bed, 1,000 bed, 2 1,000 bed hospitals, I think.
Wow. That's
and one, the name was called. It was called Horsenshan, so it's like Fire God Mountain.
Oh wow!
And then the other one, I'm not sure the direct translation, but it meant like Thunder God. So there's like a Fire God hospital and a Thunder God hospital, because apparently they believe that like the fire and lightning are good against this particular virus or the things that cause this virus. Wow. So we could have it like bringing in like ancient culture into building something so modern to defeat a modern problem. I just think the naming was cool.
Yeah, the naming sounds cool. I guess there's that sort of spiritual guardian, the spiritual fight going on.
Yeah.
I mean, anything that gives people hope is certainly no problem with that at all. It sounds cool. I was you don't get hospital names like that in the UK. So
no, you don't. Good Hope.
Yeah, good. yeah. I was born in Good Hope Hospital. What a name for a hospital. Yeah. Good Hope, not God of Lightning Hospital.
Do you know what I mean? And one cool thing now is I can say that I've experienced what life is like in an epidemic like this, and maybe have some good tips, maybe some knowledge of what to do or like how to prepare if anything was ever to hit the UK.
I guess that's a good point. Is in reality, most people, let's say there is an epidemic and we're stuck in the UK, most people are not going to get the virus. But in reality, if you're quarantined, stuck inside, what do you is there anything that you wish you had if you had some time to prepare, or what would be your tips if people get stuck indoors at any point?
Well, I mean, the first thing that sold out was the masks, wasn't it? So even imagine if there's some kind of other different virus that turns you into a zombie, I'd want you got to get some good masks for whatever problem there is. And this isn't just for this virus. This is like if the apocalypse was to happen or whatever. You want to get masks and maybe even goggles as well. like what you did in DT, because like viruses and that can go through your eyes and that. So if I was being really precautious, I'd have some kind of goggles as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and maybe even like some kind of like gloves. If I was being like super over the top, yeah, maybe if you're trying to like protect my child or something, or I'd make sure they had like the goggles, maybe some gloves and the masks. You got to have lots of water, haven't you? I can imagine people all rushing to Asda or Tesco and like buying it out. So I'd say it's always good to have a little storage of, like water and then some tin food as well. A lot of that is just basics like emergency preparation, isn't it? But
yeah. What's
yeah,
it been like for you guys? Has there been I sort of picture shops with nothing on their shelves, and there have been less severe epidemic style things that have happened in first world countries, and you see shops bereft of stock. So has it been similar thing?
It's been all right, actually. I think when that kind of just came and stuff, there was more things being sold out by the end of the day, but there hasn't been any kind of craze at all in this province anyway. Probably because China's so big and there's so many different sources for food and products. They could fresh vegetables are constantly coming in every day. I can imagine someone like England that's quite cut off, and we're probably quite reliant on a lot of other countries for stuff. That's probably where you have a bigger problem. But for the Chinese, they've been okay here.
Okay, that's good.
For me, I've just been laptop. Really, is the only thing. We all have like a flat which isn't super big. There's not really my personal garden or outdoor space, so you have to like go down all the way into the communal garden, but obviously you don't want to be around people, so it's very indoorsy, which is really makes me agitated. I'm sure it make everyone agitated.
Yeah, for sure. I think on the note of sort of preparing for those sorts of things as well, is I remember some advice as well when I used to go to church and used to be encouraged to keep a store cupboard of some sort. Obviously things like rice and other grains are quite handy to have, but also just raw wheat is pretty underrated. If you're going proper, this is like extreme sort of wearing a tin hat type, if you're quite paranoid, if you're quite worried, store wheat in sort of moisture proof, airproof bags, because you can grind it into other things. Obviously you can technically make flour out of it, but you can grind it down. It's full of energy, in theory you can live off it for ages. Combine it with tin food and that sort of thing. So that's one thing I remember and always found it quite weird. But then you just have it looks like one of those things you make sausages with, but sort of like a little mill in your kitchen. You can put wheat in it and grind it, and you've got loads of things.
I think that you're 100% right. I think even places like Venezuela or whatever their economy completely collapsed, and they've like run out of food, haven't they? And their money was worthless, so you couldn't buy anything in the shops, and I think people just kind of rampaged everything anyway. But like these things happen, and it's better to be prepared than to be unprepared.
Yeah, so, and it might not always be an epidemic that gets you trapped indoors. Obviously there's freak weather conditions. We're sort of quite lucky in the UK in that we don't get anything pretty atrocious happen.
Drizzling.
Yeah, but then it was this morning that I heard that Antarctica has recorded the warmest temperature on record, 18 degrees. So a lot warmer than it is in the UK at the moment in Antarctica. That's a bit worrying, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Will we be the new Antarctica, do you think? The North Pole will be like England.
I saw something fascinating as well the other day. Is while I was scrolling through my Facebook feed, it was a little video of an ITV weather presenter and she was pretending to do the weather as if it was like 2050 or something. So not too far into the future, 30-ish years.
Yeah.
But if we continue
Yeah.
at the rate that we're going in regards to burning fossil fuels and destroying the planet, and she had the sort of map behind her, and she was basically saying, and you could see the temperatures on the map, and they're all above 40 degrees Celsius, right, and like just crazy weather patterns and like pockets of storms, and it's like scary, sort of slightly apocalyptic, new weather conditions that we get in that, the UK doesn't really get tornadoes, or it may be the odd sort of light hurricane, typhoons, nothing like that, but we're talking like serious, like I say, apocalyptic type weather, and it was like that was like a real sort of that's a bit scary, like 40 degrees, like you can't go outside at that point, surely, but it sort of got me thinking, like, if that did happen, if I was trapped inside, and now this as well, it's like, would it be okay? Like, don't know how that.
Use some good card games.
Yeah.
Some good games. Yeah,
for sure.
But I guess that's it. I think we've done a good sum up. Talked about the apocalypse, which I wasn't quite ready for, but
yeah, I know. There you go. But luckily, you're I'm okay. You're hopefully okay.
Yeah,
and
that's it.
It's going to take a couple of weeks, but then we might be able to have some tea in the dojo again.
Finally, please. Well, we'll see if we can arrange a date and do it. If I'll be home on like Monday night now, and then I'm gonna need to have about two weeks or so inside. In that time, because I'm at home, I'll be able to do a bit more like work, and I can plan, make a master plan for the year, and hopefully come out with some better content and some newer content as well, which would be cool.
Yeah, for sure. Before we sign off, I've got a top tea tip. I hope you don't mind, Sensei. But the other day I was reading Dr. Michael Greger's book, How Not to Diet, and he mentions green tea as being very anti-inflammatory, and even drinking it 3 times a day. And then it turns out that green tea, obviously with the antioxidants, is slightly better for you if you have it cold. So there's no sort of solid reason why, but it seems to make sense that the heat from a boiling kettle and green tea the way people make it usually is like with boiling water, and so having it in a cold water bottle, little tea strainer in there, that's it. That's a little silicone one, green tea in it. Just keep filling up the water bottle, and you get a ton of green tea every day, and it's not super strong either.
So you never put the hot water in. It was always cold to start off with.
Always cold, and Dr. Greger also says that that's just how he has his tea as well. But I'm finding that it's quite pleasant because it never gets too strong. It's not like you leave it steeping for hours and it's horribly bitter. In cold water, it tastes brilliant. It's like a lightly flavoured tea. So if you don't, obviously the caffeine can sort of mean that you need to drink more water, but over time, as that gets rinsed out and you drink more of it, if you're not a fan of drinking just plain water and you don't want to put sugary stuff in it, a bit of lemon juice in there, green tea, it's great, man. It's great.
Good job. I'm going to try that when I get home. You'll find in China, especially living with my mother-in-law, no cold things enter my body at any point ever. Hot water, only hot water. I can't even walk around in a t-shirt because apparently I'll get sick. So I've been kept wrapped up and it's only hot water. But when I'm in England and I'm a free man again, I'm going to take you up on that and have a go.
Give it a go. It's nice. It's nice just to have a water bottle all day, with some slightly flavoured water in it, and it's anti-inflammatory as well.
Exactly. Would that be good for your swollen ankle?
Yeah, apparently so. Lots of veggies as well. Get my recovery on the go, but I'll be fine. Not sure if I'll be back in the dojo next week, but maybe at a push, maybe the end of the week. I'm not too sure.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important that you have a good recovery, and do all your best to come back. But yeah, don't rush it. And I will also be back in 2 weeks. Maybe we might be back at the same time together.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
The dojo will go wild.
Yeah, it will.
Fanfare.
Me and you turn the same day.
Yeah, perhaps you more than me.
They might have thought we went away together.
Yeah, and then people will start avoiding me because they think I've got the virus.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I wouldn't want to have to train with one of those masks on. That'd be pretty weird.
I think people would be prepared to if they said, "Look, this is the only way you're going to get Sensei Jumoke back." Or the class would be like, "Cool, where's my mask?"
I think they're sold out.
Probably. That's fine. We'll sort something out.
Cool. We'll leave it there for this week. I think we will upload this, so we would like you to like it and to comment and to subscribe on whatever platform you are listening or watching on. What episode is this now, Chris? I've just seen episode. Go on.
I think this will be number 10.
Okay, yeah. We'll keep it as number 10. That sounds good to me. And the 10, that's two numbers. We're officially like, I was told when I was 10 years old, I was a big boy now, double digits. So it's a real podcast. It's here to stay. We've reached 10
real. Yeah.
Cool. And also we got a really good comment from Daniel. So I want to say thank you, Daniel, for posting the comment. It was a good question, and we're going to address it. We are going to address it on the next one we do. When I get back to England or whatever, I'm going to write down a great answer, and it's going to be all good. So Thank you for commenting. If anyone else would like to ask a question or comment, me and Chris will do our best to answer it as honestly and to our best ability.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And if you're listening to this, jump onto Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and check out the video version on YouTube as well. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts specifically, give us a rating and a review, and let us know genuinely what you thought. If it wasn't 5-star material, we need to know.
Because we want to get it there, don't we?
Yeah, we'll get it there.
Yeah, 5 stars on the Chinese flag, and we want to be that good.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was a great episode. Thanks very much for giving me a call, Sensei.
Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure to talk.
Cool.
I'm coming home soon. Yay! Bye, everybody.
See you later.
Thank you for listening to the episode. It's been Tea in the Dojo. Today we haven't really drank much tea or been in the dojo. However, due to special circumstances, I hope you understand, and I look forward to getting back in the dojo with or without tea. But yeah, please, if you have any questions, write them in the comments. We're on YouTube as well, which I take part in. And until next time, drink more tea.